Every single night, millions of people over the age of 65 unknowingly follow a routine that quietly weakens their heart. It doesn't hurt at first, no sharp pains, no obvious warning. So most never realize what's happening until years later, when the damage is already done. Research now shows this one simple bedtime habit can raise blood pressure, trigger irregular heartbeats, and even increase the risk of nighttime strokes. And chances are, you or someone close to you is doing it tonight. Once revealed, bedtime will never feel the same again. As we cross the age of 65, the heart doesn't beat with the same youthful resilience it once had. Decades of pumping blood through millions of miles of vessels slowly leave their mark. The arteries, once flexible and springy, begin to stiffen. That stiffness makes it harder for blood to flow smoothly, forcing the heart to work harder for the same simple task it used to manage with ease. Recovery time, after even the smallest stress, becomes longer. What felt like nothing at 40, climbing a flight of stairs, walking after dinner, may now leave the chest heaving or the pulse racing. This change doesn't mean the heart is weak. It means the heart is seasoned. It has carried you through triumphs, hardships, long work days, sleepless nights, and celebrations. Like a tire that's been on the road for decades, it has proven its durability, but also bears the invisible wear of every mile. And just like a worn tire can lose grip in a sudden storm, the aging heart is more vulnerable when exposed to extra strain, especially during the quiet hours of the night. That's why nighttime routines matter so much more in older age. In youth, the body bounces back quickly from late meals, restless sleep, or stress-filled nights. But after 65, those same routines can quietly tip the balance. What you do in the final hours before sleep can either give your heart the rest it desperately craves, or load it with new burdens when it should be recovering. Instead of slowing down, the heart may be forced to speed up, fight higher blood pressure, or wrestle with disrupted rhythms while you sleep. Think of bedtime as the moment when your heart is supposed to clock out after a long day's work. It deserves calm, rhythm, and recovery. But for many older adults, the habits they've unknowingly developed, whether it's what they eat, drink, or how they wind down, can keep the heart on high alert all night long. That constant strain builds up silently, often without obvious warning signs, until it reveals itself in fatigue, dizziness, or more serious complications. And here's the truth. If you've worked hard your entire life, your heart deserves protection now more than ever. It is not a luxury, it is a necessity. Your heart is the very reason you've lived to see grandchildren grow, celebrate milestones, and gather wisdom only time can give. Neglecting it now would mean ignoring the most faithful companion you've ever had. By respecting your heart at night, by giving it peace instead of pressure, you can help ensure that it keeps beating strong, steady, and loyal for the years still ahead. The truth is, one of the most common habits quietly harming the heart in people over 65 happens right at the dinner table. It's not an obvious danger like smoking or drinking. It's something so ordinary that most people never think twice about it. The habit is eating heavy meals or late-night snacks just before bed. For years, many have been told that a little food before sleep helps you rest, or that finishing dinner late isn't a big deal. But for the aging heart, that one choice can become a nightly struggle. When you eat close to bedtime, especially a large or heavy meal, the body must begin the demanding process of digestion. Instead of resting, the heart is forced to keep pumping harder to supply blood to the stomach and intestines. What should be a quiet, restorative time for the cardiovascular system suddenly becomes overtime work. For someone younger, the body might tolerate that extra load. But after 65, the arteries are less elastic, the heart muscle takes longer to recover, and the system is more vulnerable to spikes in pressure and irregular rhythms. Studies show that late-night eating can significantly increase blood pressure while you sleep. That's because digestion is energy-intensive. It requires more circulation. This higher workload often keeps the heart rate elevated instead of allowing it to slow down for recovery. Over time, this pattern can lead to sustained hypertension, the silent killer that damages arteries and increases the risk of heart attack or stroke. But doesn't stop there. Eating heavy at night also influences cholesterol. When large meals are consumed and then the body immediately rests, fat metabolism slows down. Instead of burning calories for energy, the body stores more fat in the bloodstream. This raises levels of LDL cholesterol, the very type that clogs arteries. For seniors already dealing with decades of wear on their circulatory system, this adds a dangerous layer of risk. Even heart rhythms can be disrupted. Many older adults who experience nighttime palpitations or skip beats don't realize they may be linked to food. After a large meal, the stomach expands and presses upward against the diaphragm. This can trigger changes in breathing and irritate the vagus nerve, which directly influences heart rhythm. The result? Palpitations, fluttering, or the unsettling sensation that the heart is racing when the body should be at its calmest. To understand this better, imagine 2 evenings. On the first night, someone over 65 enjoys a light dinner, perhaps grilled fish with vegetables and a small portion of rice, finishing their meal a few hours before bed. By the time they lay down, digestion is well underway. Their heart rate slows naturally, blood pressure dips, and their sleep becomes restorative. They wake up the next morning refreshed, with steady energy and clear focus. Now, picture the second night. The same person eats late, maybe a plate of fried food, dessert, and a glass of soda. Within an hour, they head to bed. Their body lies flat, but inside the stomach churns. Digestion demands blood, the heart pumps faster, acid creeps upward causing discomfort, and sleep becomes shallow. Instead of dipping into the healing stages of rest, their body stays on alert. The next morning, they wake with heaviness in the chest, fatigue in their muscles, and a cloudy mind, proof that the heart spent the night working instead of recovering. This story is not hypothetical. It's the reality for countless older adults. Take the example of Mrs. Rahman, a 68-year-old retired teacher. For years, she experienced a strange fluttering in her chest at night. She assumed it was just stress, the leftover tension from worrying about her children or bills. But when she finally mentioned it to her doctor, she was asked about her eating habits. It turned out she often ate her largest meal at 9 or 10 p.m., followed by a cup of tea and sometimes a sweet snack. Her doctor explained that these choices were overworking her heart. With a few changes, moving dinner earlier, eating lighter portions, and avoiding food 2 hours before bed, her palpitations gradually faded. What she thought was just stress was actually her heart crying for relief. The lesson is simple yet powerful. Late-night eating may feel harmless, but for an aging heart, it could be a hidden burden repeated night after night. The quiet hours of sleep are meant for repair and renewal, not digestion and strain. By rethinking what and when we eat before bed, we could transform those hours into true rest, giving the heart the space it needs to stay strong for the years ahead. When we look more closely at what happens inside the body after a heavy late-night meal, the damage becomes clearer. The heart, which should be winding down and resting, is instead forced into action. Digestion is not a passive process. It is one of the body's most energy-demanding tasks. As soon as food enters the stomach, blood is redirected to the digestive system. This means the heart has to pump harder and faster to meet the demand. For someone younger, the body can manage this extra work, but in older adults, it results in a noticeably higher nighttime heart rate. Instead of resting at a calm, steady rhythm, the heart runs as though the body were still awake and active. But the burden doesn't stop there. Every meal causes a rise in blood sugar, and the larger or heavier the meal, the sharper the spike. To bring those sugar levels down, the pancreas releases insulin. A small spike is normal, but when you eat a large meal late at night, the surge of insulin becomes greater. This excess insulin doesn't just manage sugar. It also triggers inflammation throughout the body. Inflammation is like a slow-burning fire that weakens blood vessels, making them more prone to stiffening and narrowing. For an older heart already facing natural wear, this constant cycle of spikes and inflammation can gradually worsen cardiovascular disease. Studies have shown that people who eat their largest meals late in the evening often have higher risks of both obesity and hypertension. One study published in a Journal of the American Heart Association found that women who consumed most of their calories after 6 p.m. had poorer heart health indicators, higher blood pressure, higher cholesterol, and more difficulty controlling blood sugar. These are not abstract numbers. They're the very risk factors that pave the road to heart attack and stroke. Then comes the issue of acid reflux. When you lie down too soon after eating, gravity no longer keeps stomach acid in place. It rises up into the esophagus, causing irritation, burning, and disrupted sleep. While many people dismiss reflux as just heartburn, the stress it places on the cardiovascular system is often underestimated. Acid reflux interferes with breathing patterns, irritates nerves connected to the heart, and prevents the deep, restorative sleep the body needs. Poor sleep itself has been linked to higher risks of hypertension, irregular heartbeat, and reduced heart rate variability, all warning signs of cardiovascular strain. To better understand, imagine this. Your body at night is supposed to be like a car in the garage. The engine is off, the mechanics come in, and repairs are made quietly while it rests. That's what nighttime is for, repair and recovery. But when you load your stomach with heavy food and then lie down, it's like asking the mechanics to fix the car while the engine is still running. They can't do their work properly because the system is still in motion. The heart, instead of recovering, keeps driving. Over weeks and months, this constant repair under strain leads to breakdowns far earlier than expected. The connection between late-night eating and poor sleep further deepens the problem. When the digestive system is active, the body struggles to enter the deeper stages of sleep where healing takes place. Instead, sleep becomes fragmented, light, restless, and easily disturbed. Studies on sleep quality show that people who eat late at night have less slow-wave sleep, the very stage where the heart rate drops, blood pressure stabilizes, and the cardiovascular system gets its nightly reset. Without this reset, the heart wakes up the next day just as tired as you are. For older adults, this creates a dangerous cycle. The heart is strained at night, recovery is limited, and by morning, blood pressure is already elevated. That elevation continues throughout the day, raising the risk of long-term damage to arteries and vital organs. In short, what feels like a small bedtime choice, an extra snack, a late dinner, turns into a silent stressor that compounds night after night. So, while it may seem harmless to satisfy hunger before sleep, the science is clear. Your heart pays the price. It works harder when it should be resting. It endures spikes of sugar and waves of inflammation, and it loses out on the recovery that only deep, peaceful sleep can provide. Over time, this combination erodes heart health in ways that are invisible day by day, but unmistakable years down the line. While late-night eating is one of the biggest hidden threats, it is not the only bedtime habit that quietly wears down the heart. Many routines that seem small or harmless can create the perfect storm for cardiovascular strain. The first is the use of screens right before sleep. Whether it's scrolling on a phone, watching television, or browsing a tablet, the blue light emitted from these devices interferes with the brain's production of melatonin, the hormone that signals the body to rest. Without enough melatonin, falling asleep takes longer, sleep quality is poorer, and the restorative phases are shortened. Poor sleep has a direct effect on the heart. It raises nighttime blood pressure, reduces heart rate variability, and makes the cardiovascular system less resilient. What feels like just one more episode or a quick scroll through messages can cost the heart the restful slowdown it desperately needs. Another common culprit is alcohol before bed. Many people believe a drink or two helps them relax and drift into sleep, but the reality is far different. Alcohol may make you drowsy initially, but it disrupts the deeper stages of sleep and often causes frequent awakenings during the night. More importantly, alcohol places extra strain on the heart. It raises nighttime heart rate, interferes with blood pressure regulation, and can trigger irregular rhythms, especially in older adults. Instead of calming the cardiovascular system, it agitates it, leaving the heart more stressed than soothed. For someone over 65, this effect is magnified since the body processes alcohol more slowly and its impact lingers long after the glass is empty. Salt is another subtle danger. A dinner that is too salty, whether it's processed food, fried snacks, or even a heavy helping of pickles, may not show its effects immediately, but it leaves a lasting footprint on the heart. Excess salt causes the body to retain water, which increases blood volume. The arteries, already less flexible with age, must now accommodate a heavier flow of blood. The result is higher pressure against artery walls, which directly burdens the heart. Eating a salty meal late in the evening means this pressure continues through the night, preventing the natural dip in blood pressure that usually occurs during sleep. Over time, this erodes the heart's ability to rest and contributes to long-term hypertension. Even the way you position your body during sleep can influence heart strain. Sleeping flat on your back after a heavy meal can worsen acid reflux, which irritates nerves connected to the heart and interferes with breathing. Sleeping on the stomach can compress the chest, restricting airflow and forcing the heart to work harder for oxygen. For people who already struggle with breathing issues or mild sleep apnea, the wrong sleeping position intensifies the problem, increasing nighttime blood pressure and putting the heart under extra stress. Taken individually, each of these habits may seem minor: a little screen time, a glass of wine, a salty dinner, or a favorite sleeping posture. But together, they create an environment where the heart never fully relaxes. Instead of settling into a steady, restorative rhythm, it battles light sleep, higher pressure, and irregular beats. Over months and years, these small stresses accumulate, leaving the heart less resilient to the challenges of daily life. The key lesson is that bedtime should be a time of peace for the heart. Just as you dim the lights and quiet the room, your habits should signal rest, not strain. By reducing screen use, avoiding alcohol late at night, keeping dinner light and low in salt, and choosing positions that support breathing and digestion, you can transform the night from a time of hidden danger into a true sanctuary for your most vital organ. The body often whispers before it shouts, and when it comes to the heart, those whispers usually arrive at night. One of the earliest signs is a feeling of chest heaviness while lying down. It might not be sharp pain, just a dull weight that makes it harder to settle into sleep. Many people dismiss it as indigestion or simply the result of a long day, but in reality, it can signal that the heart is working harder than it should. Another common warning comes in the form of waking up with shortness of breath. Instead of feeling rested, you find yourself gasping lightly for air, needing to adjust pillows or sit upright to breathe more comfortably. This is not just restlessness. It could be a sign of fluid buildup or pressure on the heart during sleep. Then there's morning fatigue. You may think you slept for 7 or 8 hours, but if you wake up exhausted, dragging your body through the day, it means your sleep was not restorative. A tired heart cannot give you a refreshed morning. This cycle of fatigue is one of the clearest signs that something during the night is placing extra strain on your cardiovascular system. Pay attention, too, to swelling in the ankles or legs. While some chalk it up to just aging, swelling can actually mean that the heart is struggling to pump blood effectively, allowing fluid to pool in the lower body. It often becomes more noticeable at night or upon waking. Perhaps the most unsettling signal of all is skipped beats or palpitations. Lying quietly in bed, you might suddenly feel your heart flutter, pound, or pause in a way that doesn't feel right. These irregular rhythms are not always harmless. They can be triggered by nighttime habits and may point to deeper issues with heart function. It's easy to explain these signs away as part of getting older, but don't brush them off. They are not just normal aging. They could be your heart's cry for help. Listening to these subtle warnings and acting on them could mean the difference between silent damage and a chance to protect the years you still have ahead. If you stayed with me this far, you now understand the hidden danger in one common bedtime habit and how just a few small changes can protect your heart from silent strain. But remember, this is only the beginning. Your body carries countless overlooked signals, quiet warnings that most doctors never mention. Don't wait until it's too late to recognize them. Subscribe right now turn on the bell, and join thousands learning life-saving health lessons. Protect your heart today, because prevention is always better than regret tomorrow.